Hi guys, and welcome to this video on Act 1, Scene 6 from Macbeth. And in this video, we're going to see Duncan and Banquo arriving at Macbeth and Lady Macbeth's castle ahead of the great celebration for their victory. Now this is also ahead of the great betrayal that Macbeth and Lady Macbeth commit in murdering Duncan. In this scene, we'll also see Duncan's character developed a little. We're going to see a bit more about him as a king and a bit more about his soft and trusting nature when dealing with Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. But before we look at some of the annotation, let's just have a little listen to the scene.
This castle hath a pleasant seat. The air nimbly and sweetly recommends itself unto our gentle senses.
This guest of summer, the temple-haunting martlet, doth approve by his loved mansionry that the heaven's breath smells wooingly here. No jutty, frieze, buttress, nor coign of vantage, but this bird hath made his pendant bed and procreant cradle. Where they most breed and haunt, I have observed the air is delicate.
Our honored hostess, the love that follows us sometime is our trouble, which still we thank as love. Herein I teach you how you shall bid God yield us for your pains, and thank us for your trouble.
All our service in every point twice done, and then done double, were poor and single business. To contend against those honours deep and broad, wherewith your majesty loads our house.
Where's the Thane of Cawdor? We coursed him at the heels, and had a purpose to be his purveyor. But he rides well, and his great love, sharp as his spur, hath hope him to his home before us. Give me your hand. Conduct me to mine host. We love him highly, and shall continue our graces towards him by your leave. Host.
Okay, so as Duncan arrives, he makes several positive comments about nature, saying how sweet and soft nature appears around the castle. Now, this reference to nature, as with all references to nature in this play, is a really, really important thing to note. Nature in this play can represent either the natural order of things, that being the hierarchy within, the world, starting with God, going to kings, going to thanes, earls, dukes, then business owners, peasants, and so on and so on and so on. That natural order linking with the ideas around the great chain of being, or the divine right of kings, or nature could represent everything that is good within the world, everything that is pure and innocent and whole. In both ways, the fact that Duncan is saying that nature is positive shows that at this point in the play, everything is good. The natural order is being maintained. Duncan is the king, Malcolm is the heir, he's there to visit his thanes. The hierarchy within the world is maintained. So everything in nature is good. Now, as Macbeth challenges and corrupts this hierarchy within the play, we will see nature becoming more and more corrupted. As Macbeth creates chaos, nature reflects that chaos and becomes a little bit topsy-turvy. But right now in the play, we need to understand that nature is good. Everything is good. Duncan talks about the castle having a pleasant seat. This is nature, this is the location of the castle, the woods, the forests, all that kind of stuff. But it could also show his attitude towards Macbeth. Seat, in this context, could refer to throne. And maybe Duncan believes that the throne is pleasant because there is a pleasant person sat on it. It shows right now Duncan appreciates Macbeth. Duncan is also shown as being quite gentle. He refers to his gentle senses, creating a kind of softness around Duncan. And this is one of the times when we have to question, does this softness make Duncan a good king? Could softness equal weakness? If he was a harder king, may he have spotted Macbeth's betrayal before it happened. If he was a harder king, would he have promoted Macbeth, who up to this point we see as quite a bloodthirsty warrior type? Does it make sense to promote him? You know? Also, as we will see in the next bit, Duncan's trust. We need to think about whether that trust can link with betrayal. We then, through Banquo's speech, have a really nice parallel with Lady Macbeth's speech. He's talking here about the temple haunting martlet. This is a house martin. These are summer birds. They are kind of non-predatory in the same way that crows and kites are. A house martin won't catch small animals. It won't attack livestock in the same way that crows and kites will. So we need to think about this as maybe a gentle, positive bird. Banquo also notes that he sees them on jutties, friezes, buttresses and coins. These are battlements. So here we have Banquo commenting on seeing a gentle bird on some battlements. This is a direct mirror of Lady Macbeth seeing crows on her battlements. In the quotation, ravens. The raven is horse that croaks the fatal entrance of Duncan here. In that instance, ravens being symbols of death and loss and kind of foreshadowing. So if Banquo sees a gentle bird on the battlements, where Lady Macbeth sees a violent bird on the battlements, this is an indication that Duncan and Banquo have no idea what lays on the other side of those walls. They feel they're arriving at a pleasant, safe place, but they're really not. Okay, next. So we then see an example of Duncan as a loved king. He says the love that follows us sometime is our trouble. Duncan recognises that the people love him. He shows that he feels that he is an inconvenience to Lady Macbeth. He says, "Herein I teach you how you shall bid God yield us for your pains and thank us for your trouble." You know, he's saying that I recognise I'm an inconvenience, but I hope that my time here is going to be beneficial to you. Now this is ironic, because in arriving at Macbeth's castle at this point, Duncan is being the most beneficial that he can to Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. He's putting himself in a position where he can easily be murdered. And Lady Macbeth foreshadows that in some of the language that she chooses to use when responding to Duncan. She says, "In every point, twice done and then double done." Point there could be a little foreshadow of stabbing. Twice done and then double done. This is the repeated stabbing of Duncan, possibly. You know, all of this is possible. She then talks about those honours deep and broad. Could this be a reference to wounds, wherewith your majesty loads our house? So there is some violent language. You know, is this her subconscious bubbling up? Is this her trying to be a little bit ironic? But the ultimate irony here is when she says, "Those honours wherewith your majesty loads our house." Duncan is going to load their house with the greatest honour. Once he's dead, Macbeth will be king. So she's kind of a little bit backhanded referring to that. We then have some of his opinions of Macbeth. Okay, so here we see that Duncan thinks that Macbeth was fast to get back to Lady Macbeth because of his love for her. Again, not really seeing that Macbeth was fast to get back because he needs to conspire with Lady Macbeth. We then get Duncan's last words, and these are important last words. Firstly, he says, "Conduct me to mine host. We love him highly and shall continue our graces towards him." This shows that he is a very trusting, naive character. It also links with dramatic irony. We know that he's going to be killed. We know that Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are conspiring against him. At the same time, structurally, we have no heroic couplet for the end of Duncan's speech. His last words don't end with that rhyming couplet told in iambic pentameter, the rhyming couplet in iambic pentameter that shows control. So this may indicate that right now Duncan has no control, and also that he has no power within this castle. He's entering somebody else's home. Finally, I want you to think about, through Duncan and Macbeth, Shakespeare asks us, is it better to be loved and weak, such as Duncan, or feared and strong, as Macbeth? And we'll look at that again as the play progresses, and we will have, we'll specifically look at it towards the end of the play. Okay, so that's a short video on that scene. I'll speak to you guys later. Bye-bye.